Yo, what is up everybody? My name is Ryosu and you know what time it is. We are finally back on Attack on Titan Revolution. So update 3 of Attack on Titan Revolution just dropped, bringing a whole lot of new things to the game, such as the female Titan raid, the female Titan itself, and also a limited time Easter event and the new mythic family Helos. And from what we have seen so far with the female Titan, it honestly has some pretty cool features and I believe it could actually be one of the best Titans in the game. But how do you get the female Titan serum in the first place? Well, one way to get the new female Titan serum is by doing missions on the aberrant difficulty, where you have a 0.17% chance to get a random serum of your choice, and hopefully when you do get that chance, it will be the female Titan serum. But the chances of that happening are kind of low, which is why I would recommend doing the female Titan raid itself, where you have a much higher chance of actually getting the female Titan serum. Me personally, I would say the female Titan raid is on the slightly harder side in terms of like raid difficulty, because there are 3 different phases that you have to go through, and these phases can be quite challenging if you do not have a good team with like shifters, Thunder Spirit users, and even buffers. So in this video, I'll be giving you guys a complete female Titan raid guide, where I'll be telling you guys everything that you guys need to know about the female Titan raid, such as some build recommendations, how the raid works, and some tips and tricks to hopefully enhance your raid experience. So without further ado, let's get straight into the female Titan raid guide video. To start off this raid guide video, I do want to start by giving some build tips and recommendations that you guys can use to hopefully enhance your raid experience. So let's go ahead and go to our equipment tab and go to our skills tree right here, and let's talk about what family that I recommend that you guys should use. So the family that you guys are going to be using will ultimately come down to like what type of build you are using, whether you are a Thunder Spirit user, a shifter, or like an ODM user. But in general, I would recommend at least having an Epic Plus family, because most Epic Plus families will have a skill called Shifter Regen, which is really important in raids because you most likely are going to be taking a lot of damage if you're not a shifter. But if you are lucky enough, I would recommend using either Fritz, Shiki, or Helos. Now for the rest of the skill tree, this honestly depends on what build you're rocking, but if you are using Thunder Spirits, I would highly recommend having a Thunder Spirit build that both prioritizes damage and buffs. So for example, right here, I am going down the critical route of the damage skill tree, mainly for the Hellfire Barrage move right here, and I also use buffs on this side of the skill tree right here. For example, I'm using Order Rage and also Black Flare. And for a Thunder Spirit build like this, I usually use the Ackerman family, and I would use, I believe, the Lightning Bolt skill and also the Rage mode that the Ackerman family has. But anyways, moving on to the perks that I would recommend having for like, I would say your offensive perk would definitely be either Art of War if you are a shifter, or Kango if you are like a Thunder Spirit user or like an ODM Blade user. If you do not have Kango, I would definitely try to get Unparalleled Strength, which should be somewhere here, which is right here. In raids, you definitely want to be doing as much damage as possible, because you do need to get at least 5% to be able to open the chest at the end. So having at least either Art of War, Kango, or even Unparalleled Strength are going to be some pretty good perks to have for your offensive perk. Moving on to the defensive perks, I highly recommend that you guys have at least Immortal, because it does help a lot when it comes to, you know, getting injured, reducing the amount of damage that you take, and it also increases your health by 125, which is very, very helpful. But if you do not have Immortal, I would highly recommend at least having Font of Vitality, even Robust as well, because these 2 perks are going to be pretty useful. And also, if you are a shifter, I would highly recommend having Adaptation, because it does make you somewhat immune to certain attacks after being attacked 2 times, which can be very helpful for staying alive in your Titan form. Now for your support perk, I would highly recommend having Font of Inspiration if you are like a buffer, or even if you are a self buffer running like a ODM Blade build or a Thunder Spirit build, because it does make your buffs and your overall support skills a whole lot better. But if you're not running a support build, I would highly recommend also having Tatsujin if you are a Thunder Spirit user or like an ODM Blade user, because it does give you a whole lot of buffs here as well. Now for your body slot, if you are a shifter, I would highly recommend having Founder's Blessing, and I would even say it is definitely a must-have if you are running any sort of shifter build, because it literally allows you to shift more times in a row. It allows your awakening bar to fill a whole lot faster, and it also increases all shifter stats by 15%. I would also recommend having maximum firepower, because it does allow you to carry more Thunder Spears, and it also increases all Thunder Spear stats by 7.5%, and spears no longer have recoil when being fired. But let's say you don't have those mythical perks and you are running like a very general like build, like a general Thunder Spear build or like a general ODM build, I would highly recommend having either Perfect Form, because it does increase Thunder Spear damage / ODM damage, or having Perfect Soul, because it does increase all Thunder Spirit / ODM stats by 10%. Moving on to the memories, if you are rocking a Thunder Spirit build, these are the memories that I would definitely highly recommend that you guys have, because they do help you do a lot more damage. If you are a shifter, I would also highly recommend having Apotheosis, because it does allow you to shift faster, and you can also do a whole lot more damage in your Titan form if your awakening bar is completely filled. And for my buffers out there, I would highly recommend having both Omni Range and Tactician, because they help with your flares a whole lot. For your artifacts, I would highly recommend using the crown, because it does give you extra luck, and if you're going for anything rare like the female Titan serum, serum or any mythic perk in general, you definitely want to be having as much luck as possible. The scarf is pretty good to use if you're running like a ODM/stun spirit build and you also have Ackerman. If you are shifted, then you may also want to consider using the cloak. I personally don't really use it anymore because I just think using the scars is a whole lot better, which if you go to the scars over here, the scars do give you plus 50% shifter stats and also gives you an extra shift and also makes your awakening bar drain 20% slower. Now, if you are a shifter and you do not have the female titan and you're considering between using either the attack titan or the armor titan, me personally, I would recommend using the attack titan because I just think the skills are way better to use in like a raid scenario. But I guess it just comes down to like your own personal preference though. Alright, so now that we got all of the build stuff out the way, let's get into talking about the actual raid itself. These are the items that you guys can get for the new female titan raid, and keep in mind these drop rates are slightly inflated because I do have a luck boost on at the moment, and this is also in the free chest. As you guys can see right here, you can get the female titan serum, and there are also a bunch of new cosmetics and artifacts that you guys can get, and to be honest with you, they look pretty decent. And in the emperor chest, these drop rates are a lot higher, and if you are running a luck boost plus you have some modifiers on, you can easily probably get this percentage right here to 1%, making it easier to get the female titan serum. The modifiers that I would have on at least are going to be nightmare, injury prone, and fog, but if you do have a good team, I would also turn on oddball, chronic entries, and even time trial. So when you join the female titan raid, you will be faced with this cutscene right here, and you can choose to either skip it or to watch it, but I highly recommend that you do watch the cutscene because skipping this cutscene or quick time event will make you lose 60% HP. After this cutscene, you will enter a quick time event where you have to dodge Annie's attack while you're running through this tunnel, and on your screen it is going to tell you what keys you have to press to dodge the attack. On PC, the first key that you are going to have to press is D, then after that it is going to alternate between A and D. There are a total of 6 inputs or quick time events that you have to do, and each missed quick time event will take off 10% of your HP. However, each completed quick time event will increase your awakening bar by 10%, and Undying Hero, which is a passive from the Helos family, will stack by 1.5. So there really isn't a point in skipping this quick time event because it does provide you with many benefits, such as allowing your awakening bar to fill up faster. Once you have completed this quick time event, you would then enter phase 1 of the raid, where you have to get Annie to 50% HP. Now this phase can take some time if you do not have a good team of shifters, dungeon street players, or even buffers, which is why having a really good team is going to be pretty important for this phase and the rest of the other phases if you want to have pretty fast runs. And one thing I did notice throughout this entire raid is that barely any titans do spawn on the map, so if you are a shifter and you're trying to fill up your awakening bar, it seems like the only way to actually fill it up is going to be by attacking Annie. But once you do get Annie to 50% HP, a new cutscene will play where pretty much Eren and Annie have a brief fight, and now you're going to be fighting Eren within his berserk mode in phase 2. Now, Eren will only have 50% HP, so you are not required to kill him at his max HP, and this version of Eren isn't anything too special. It's pretty much the same Eren from the original Attack Titan raid. And again, once you kill Eren, another cutscene will play, and now you're going to be in phase 3. And pretty much in phase 3, all you have to do now is just kill Annie, which is pretty self-explanatory. Just do what you did before until Annie dies, and once Annie dies, you have officially completed the raid, and now you can open the chest as long as you have 5% damage. So pretty much a lot of phases, but very doable. So now let's get into the tips and tricks that you can apply to hopefully make your raid experience a little bit easier. First things first, this first tip really isn't a tip, but pretty much skip every cutscene besides the quick time event. Yes, I understand that these cutscenes do look pretty cool, but it low-key wastes your time if you have like time trial on, and plus it also wastes the shifters awakening bars. Now onto like an actual tip. The first tip that I actually have is that you might want to have a player aggro Annie and pretty much stay on top of the wall so that Annie doesn't really move around too much. As seen in the video right here, you can see that Annie is kind of stuck in like this corner of the wall right here, which makes it pretty easy to attack her and can be very useful for like, your Thunder Spirit players and your ODM players. My second tip, which is kind of obvious, but you should be very careful when fighting Annie. Most of Annie's attacks do happen pretty fast and don't have like a lot of like wind up time compared to like the attack time and the armor time. From what I've noticed, I think she has like 5 different attacks that she does, which are like her punch, her stomp, her kick, her roundhouse kick, and her shriek. So stay on the lookout for those attacks and be extra cautious, especially if you do have oddball on, because these attacks do a lot of damage, especially if you do have oddball. Anyways guys, this will be the end of today's video. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to press that like button and subscribe for more Attack on Titan Revolution content. I do plan on posting a lot more female Titan content once I actually get her, because right now I'm still grinding for it. I still haven't gotten it yet, but who knows, I might trade for it. Also, now that trading is out, I do plan on doing my attack serum giveaway, where I'll be giving away 3 attack serums to 3 different people. So if you do want to take part in this giveaway, make sure to join my Discord server down below and go to the giveaways channel and join the giveaway. Also, if you do join the giveaway, make sure to be at least prestige 4, because if you're not prestige 4, then I cannot trade you the attack serum. Also, thank you guys a lot for all the support lately. Like, I feel like we have been going pretty fast. I cannot thank you guys more than enough for, supporting my content, subscribing. But anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.